stepping into the minefield of contempt. But I tell you, if you remember, there was a time here on this very table that I made an appeal to the president that if it was possible, he should take out the party elements from this anti-Galamsey fight. I don't know if you remember.
Yes, you did.
Because look, it's an entrenched subculture with a political dimension. And it didn't begin today. And we have enough evidence to show the complicity of political parties, political executives from the constituency, district, regional to national level. It's conk.
When you say we have enough evidence, who are you referring to?
Well, that's an interesting question. The New Crusading Guide and Tiger Eye put together. And that investigation began August 2016. You see, what hurts me most is that some of the evidence at our disposal are known to the Ghana police. They have them on record. They have party executives, constituency executives, who they themselves busted during some of their raids. They have their statements,
right,
audio and video. From 2016 to now, you ask yourself what's going on. So it's a very difficult thing. Now it appears that if you want to fight Galamsey, then you are labeled a Galamseyer. As a way of neutralizing.
And the evidence that Kweku is talking for the second time that he's repeating it here, may I also repeat for the second time that I have seen the body of evidence, incontrovertible.
Right. So to be honest, if there's a continued party political involvement in any campaign to fight Galamsey, take it from me, it's not going to work. I am not saying it's only the party elements that are involved. After all, we had the Minerals Commission there, Forestry Commission there, we had the Ministry of Energy, all of them there, yet Galamsey was going on. Right. So the institutional element too is important. But when you have a president who dedicates and commits himself to that campaign, and yet he's hugely challenged in terms of implementation, I'm saying the party element, get them out quickly.
Okay. So besides getting the party elements out, which is your major, appeal that you are repeating, what else should be done? The removal of the military, we understand. Some have used that to say it's an admission of the failure, but you may know better than that this is a phasing out process.
Yeah, it's a phasing out process. And indeed, they'll be establishing a rapid deployment force made up of military elements who will be called upon to intervene when necessary. See, look, sometimes it's not easy to say some of these things. The military is a very delicate institution. And whilst we are not at war, so should be able to call upon them to help in internal security and other things. When it becomes too protracted, and then also there are allegations and counter-allegations and all sorts of things, it has a certain tendency of undermining professionalism, loyalty, morale, and you are not careful, they become very difficult to manage. And all these things have been happening in the last 2-3 years. It's not easy. So I think the policy makers or decision makers were confronted with this challenge, and you have to do your intelligence estimate of what exactly is happening in the military. And don't forget, it's not the entirety of the armed forces personnel who are engaged in this. Those who have had opportunity to engage in it have also seen it as a gold mine. And when you have a situation where some military personnel are out there making money, getting some benefits, whereas the majority in the barracks are not getting, sometimes it creates internal friction. It's just like how June 4th came about. I'm sorry, it's not a digression. But you see, when you have soldiers who should be in uniform and do military duties, also doing civil duties, and benefiting from that, their colleagues who are entrenched in the barracks begin to see differences and then react differently, sometimes very negatively. So, yes, the military will be removed, will be progressively removed from the front lines, they will stay within a rapid deployment force that will be called upon. Step by step, they intend doing something about it. But my brother, I'm being honest with you. This fight is not going to be an easy fight. The proof is here. Some progress has been made. I'm not one of those who says it's been a disaster completely. And I think when the experts come in, they will have to give us some details in terms of specificity. And no, I'm not in that situation. But honestly, generally, at this third year, the challenge has been huge. And I trace the source of the challenge from within. The Inter-ministerial Committee, if I were the president, I'll reconstitute it. I know he doesn't like reshuffling. But you see, you got to reshuffle some because it's institutional representation. You know that, the Inter-ministerial. But the person's there. And I'm not for one moment saying any of them I know has taken anything. But I think they failed in a way. And if I were the president, I'll reshuffle them, bring any new elements in there, keep the institutional representation intact.
Okay.
I've restrained myself. There are a few things I want to say, but I've decided not to.
I see. Yeah. Right. Okay. So good to take your lawyer's advice.
Yeah, last point, please. Last point. You see this document that was launched by the this livelihood project appraisal. I think the ban, they lifted the ban on small scale, legal small scale mining.
Right.
The period when it was lifted is part of the problem. I'm not saying it should never have been lifted, but they should have known that in look, all the time there was a very small line of distinction between the illegal and the legal. Even some of the legals, their practices were part of the problem. Even the major ones, they have practices, but they are easier to monitor and evaluate. So the very moment the ban was lifted and the introduction of the community mining thing came in, look, some of the party elements, and particularly because the party in government was the party that will have advantage in trying to mobilize their rank and file to have the benefits of this community mining. I don't think the process has been properly managed and policed. Because it's party, sometimes the vigilance is low. That is part of the problem we are having now. So it's now very difficult to draw the lines between the community mining projects, the legal small-scale mining, and then the illegal.
I see. Okay, so Dr.
The experts would educate us.
Dr. I've been reading your paper